Winter is upon us in Marvel Strike Force, and you're going to need some protection from the cold on your Alliance's helicarrier. So we're bringing in the big guns. Byron joins us today as we talk about the latest team, Winter Guard. There are 3 reworks on this team that I know you're going to love. Lori and Strike Fox will also be joining us today to give updates on the Envoys and the community. And as always, we'll have a promo code for you at the end. As this is the last Strike Spot of the year, we just want to say thank you for joining us on this adventure in Marvel Strike Force in 2025. We have a lot of cool stuff for you in 2026 that we're excited to share soon, so keep your eyes out for that. Now, let's dive in and hear from Byron on the Winter Guard. All right, well, welcome back to Strike Spot, Byron. We are here to talk about the next war team in Winter Guard. So why don't we start with just talking about how this team is supposed to work? We've mentioned things like Alpha Strikes. This team isn't really going to be in that vein this time. So how is this team really designed to play?
So Winter Guard is going to be a bit of a slower team, and they're going to concentrate on survival and sustain. So where a lot of our kind of war meta at the moment is, lots of fast characters, Alpha Strike, lots of speed bar, Winter Guard have some powerful defensive mechanics. So the idea with Winter Guard is that you bring them into a war game, and then the enemy team basically gets to use their first turn powerful specials and ultimates, but they'll be able to weather the storm, so to speak, and then they get to retaliate, and their retaliate is very powerful.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this team, especially for the reworks. And I want to start with kind of a duo here as the first thing we talk about. So let's start with Red Guardian and Yelena getting reworked. What can you tell us about those 2 characters and what we're going to be doing with them?
Yeah, so Red Guardian and Yelena. So it is time to bring them into the current meta. So a big part of that is bringing a lot of their skills and abilities into line. A big part of that is that many of their callouts where they called out skill military now call out, all allies. That's going to be a big boost for them. And then in some places, they'll also have specific callouts for Winter Guard characters with their massive stat increases, and upgrades to almost all of their abilities. And now when they call each other for assists on their abilities, they do so all the time instead of a small percentage chance. It's a big power upgrade to bring them into the current meta that we have.
Yeah, and I really liked what you said there about making the characters that we know and love that are older more impactful in today's game. And I think that it's important to know that as we continue to do this, that, we're not really wanting to remove anything from these characters' kits. We're wanting to bring new life into these characters. So really like that. Okay. Well, let's jump into one of the newer characters and talk about Darkstar. What can you tell us about Darkstar?
Well, Darkstar, if you'll pardon the pun, is very much the new star of this team. So she is a support character. And for those of you who don't know who Darkstar is, she is a mutant from the old Soviet Union. In our story, she's kind of gone off and she's joined Winter Guard to help protect Mother Earth. But she uses, she has access to the Dark Force. So you'll see the Dark Force being used in all of her abilities. How her sustain works is on her, special and her ultimate. She has health steal mechanics where she redistributes to herself and Winter Guard allies. But a lot of her power actually comes from her passive. So she has a special ability where when an enemy character takes a turn, if they have the silence proc, she attacks them on their turn, deals damage, and then extends the silence proc by 1 turn. So essentially, like, you got a character with silence, they go, she attacks them, and it's like, guess what? You've got silence for an additional turn. And then she has a very powerful win more mechanic. Whenever an enemy character dies, she attacks the entire enemy team. She reduces all procs on herself and her Winter Guard allies by 1, and applies Safeguard immunity to herself and all Winter Guard allies. So really powerful win more mechanic. So really important to, like, once you start winning, once you start getting ahead, get more ahead.
Yeah, that's super powerful. Her passive is very, very strong. And I think it's interesting, we have a lot of call outs to silence. And so I want to jump to what I would kind of consider to be the premier rework of this team, and that's Omega Red. And I bring that up because he's going to be the one that actually provides the silence for this team, correct?
That is correct. It is a pretty significant change to his kit, specifically since we're talking about the silence proc, we'll start with where that comes from. Actually, it comes from his passive. For those of you who don't know, who haven't looked at Omega Red, or original Omega Red, I should say, because we've got 2 of them in the game now, on his passive, he technically has a passive attack. Now, when he was originally designed, this was before we were, very cognizant of adding animations to passive attacks. So his passive attack has actually been reworked. So now there's a core damage component attached to it, and then a health steal, and then applying a bunch of negative effects. So in this case, it's going to be trauma, heal block, and silence. So, and this is an on-start attack. Technically, it happens after all the other on-start effects have occurred. So, if you have like on-spawn taunt or on-spawn speed bar, on procs, all of those will resolve, and then Omega Red will use his special on-spawn attack. And then the idea is this goes, and then the entire team starts to take their turns. They have silence, so Darkstar is going to follow up and extend the silence each time they take a turn. But this is the only source of applying silence on the team. So a lot of it is Omega Red's like core abilities. Again, they were really good. They didn't need too much touch up, especially with this big stat increase that he's going to be getting. The other significant change to Omega Red is on his special. So before, he applied trauma and ability block to the primary target. Now it still applies, but if they already have it, he extends them by 1 turn to a maximum of 2.
Yeah, and talking about his ultimate really quick, one change that we actually made to his passive was that on Spawn and War, he will actually gain an additional ultimate ability energy. So now, instead of having to wait till turn 2, you can use that extremely powerful ultimate on turn 1. So going to be super excited to see what people do with that. And I think, again, it's worth noting that Omega Red, in order to make him this powerful, we needed to remove some of the older callouts to Weapon X. So let's quickly talk about that for just a second, if you don't mind, Byron.
Sure. Probably the big one is, if people remember, Omega Red had an on-spawn speed bar mechanic. So for every Weapon X ally he gained speed bar. That provided a lot of anti-synergy for him. For his new team and the new meta, we needed him to take his turn a little later in the turn order, because he would gain some speed bar, he counts himself and then his allies. Most of the Weapon X characters have gone off to their own teams and received reworks, so they've gone off into their own metas. We want to bring Omega Red back into the meta again. A powerful, a bit older legendary, but he should still, because of this change, he should feel legendary again. And again, it wasn't just removed, it was replaced by something even more powerful, which was, like you said, gaining an ability energy at the start of the game, allowing him to use his ultimate turn 1.
Yeah, and just the addition of silence on his passive, having the heal block as well, just starting the match off with a very powerful ability allowed him to feel legendary. Once again, I like that you said that. Let's talk a little bit about the next newest character to join this team, and that is Ursa Major. Now, this was an interesting character for me because he's a bear. Like, he's a
Yeah.
massive grizzly bear. So what can you tell us about Ursa Major?
So Ursa Major, he's a mutant who's essentially his mutant power is that he's a big, powerful bear man, very strong, very durable, as bears are. So he acts as the team's second protector, which makes a Winter Guard a dual protector team, which was a big reason why we wanted to lean into this team being, a bit slower, have powerful sustain, be extremely resilient. Dual protectors allow you to have that play style. So he's a bit odd because I would argue that his most powerful ability is actually his special. It's very high energy. It's basically a double tap all attack that applies slow, can apply blind, can clear procs from himself and his Winter Guard allies. He gains taunt. It does all these things. But that's his big opener, and he needs a powerful opener because of how his passive works. The lion's share, well, bear share perhaps, of his passive is he provides a bunch of defensive abilities and defensive passives until he takes his first turn. So, like, the big one is he provides essentially the equivalent of defense up for his entire team, but without the proc. So he provides for himself and his Winter Guard allies 50% damage reduction and 50% resistance. But he can't stack it with defense up because while this is active, he and his team are immune to both minor and normal defense up procs. He also prevents a bunch of other procs. He also does something really powerful where until he takes his first turn, he prevents darkness from being applied. So he's actually going to be your null. He's a big part of your null counter. And also he prevents possession on the enemy team. So if you've been really struggling with Astral and you just don't want to deal with that possession mechanic anymore, Ursa Major deals with that as well. So a very defensive character until he starts taking turns. His ultimate is actually pretty simple. It's a big single target attack that clears and applies stun. What makes this a little bit more interesting, though, it's that it's got special targeting when he's on ward defense. So he can get through, ignore taunts, ignore stealth, and he targets the enemy character with the highest focused. So, but yeah, that's Ursa Major, big, powerful bear man who provides some powerful defensive bonuses until he takes a turn, and then he turns the damage on.
Yeah, I really like that mechanic. I really like the defensive nature of this team. I think that it's really going to shake things up in the meta.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about one additional thing, and that is that starting with the Winter Guard, there's going to be a bit of an adjustment to the stats of characters moving forward. So do you want to talk just a little bit about that?
When Ares came out, we did a stat adjustment. Essentially, there was roughly a 30% buff to all stats. This was to kind of move into, push the meta forward and then get ready for, the Annihilator team coming out in Arena. Winter Guard is going to be doing something similar. So they're getting a big, bump, a stat adjustment. So when they come out, they are going to be some of the most powerful characters in the game.
Yeah, I think that about covers it there. We are kind of entering into another character stat adjustment moving forward from this team. Well, I think that about covers it, Byron. I just want to say thank you so much for not only being here today, but you have been a big part of these strike spots for the combat team in 2025. So just want to offer my thanks to you and joining us all throughout the year. Can't wait for more in 2026.
Yeah, hopefully I can continue being a presence and going forward in 2026. These are a lot of fun. It's always a pleasure to come out and talk about the team, share this with the community. It's important that we have conversations like this, and it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Well, let's go ahead and jump to Lori to give us an update on the Envoys.
Happy holidays, Commanders! It's been an incredible year of Danger Room battles, Cosmic Crucible tournaments, exclusive reveals, and trivia stream. Let's take a look at some of the best moments.
Ah, I'm the best!
Oh, goddamn, Damon, they have families. We don't like their families, but they do have them. Get out of here.
And today, I had an epiphany. None of the envoys want to face me in Crucible.
Oh my god, you got it.
Just try to win. You like your chances? I like the chances too. Let's go. 2 shot for the win.
Get the crit! Yes! Alright, oh my! This is the next legendary. Quasar, Marvel Legends, yes. Age of Annihilus. Can you see the...
I'm gonna put that, oh my gosh. Wow, wow.
See what we can do here. Come on. Come on, the assist. Let's go. There it is.
Kill the Quasar. Hell yeah, Damon. Hell yeah. I didn't say kill the whole team, but I'll take it. You're a psychopath, Damon. Holy moly, he's crazy.
A big thank you to all of our envoys. And now over to Strike Fox with something very special for everyone.
Thanks, Lori. The winter holidays are officially upon us, and as a thank you for tuning in, here's a gift you don't have to wait to open. Head to marvelstrikeforce.com/playergiftnow and enter promo code GOWINTERGUARD to claim a holiday present from your CM team. And in the spirit of the season, we want to invite all commanders to join our Discord server at discord.gg/marvelstrikeforce for some fun holiday activities, giveaways, even more community codes, and maybe a few surprises. As we chart course for the new year, we want to take a moment to wish all commanders an amazing holiday season. Thank you to every single one of you for being a part of our community, and here's to another year of playing Marvel Strike Force together. Happy holidays, commanders!